Hello guys, and welcome back to another Q&A video that we're going to be doing here at Bear Basics Canine Academy. Now I have another 10 amazing questions to read out to you guys and for me to share my thoughts on them. So let's dive on into it. What's the best, hardest part of being a dog trainer? Fantastic question. So we'll start with the positive first. So I'd say the best part about being a dog trainer is probably actually the behavior modification element of it itself. So being able to have part A, which is the dog and its behavioral issues, and transforming that dog into part B, which is the success and that dog now having a completely different outlook on life. And then part C, which is the owner. So how that owner responds to that training, how much they love it, how much they now can enjoy their dog, and the happiness and whatnot that is driven to that point. It's a lot of hard work and it takes a lot of effort, but when they put that work in, then that dog is then a product of that. It's a fantastic, and I love it. So the actual changing a dog's outlook on life into part B to then produce part C, that's it for me. I love it. And was it the worst part? It was the hardest part. So the hardest part I'd probably say is, and again, like the previous one, it does actually link into it. It's when a client is struggling quite a lot, and when I mean quite a lot, I mean like they're putting a lot of emotion into it. And what I mean by this is like they're getting really caught up on the fact that they're not making significant progress, or their dog maybe have regressed and they're now having an issue with that, or they're very upset by that, should we say. And then obviously then them reporting back to me. I find that's the hardest part, because I just want what's best for that client and what's best for that person, so, or that dog should, for that dog. So I'd say that's probably the hardest part, is when you present with a message that's like probably caught you off guard, for example, or you've got someone who's thinking about putting their dog down or rehoming them. It's a lot of added stress, but absolutely I'll give it my all in helping that person and helping them make that decision, or helping them in making not that decision of putting it down, for example. But yeah, that's probably the hardest part, I'd say. Advice for owners dealing with reactive dogs. So this question, I'm going to be very, very lightly on where I tread, because I don't realistically like giving advice on things like reactivity, for example. Reason being is, like I say, it's one of those topics where you don't want to be giving someone advice and then them taking that advice far too literally, and then possibly creating more issues for themselves or that dog. So I'd say advice I would give is probably look more so at restructuring your relationship with your dog. Now, what I mean by this is looking at where their rules and boundaries are within the home. If they're allowed to sit at the window and bark, 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 bark all day long while you're out, and then you come home, take them for a walk, and they're bark, 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 barking on the walk, and you're trying to correct that behavior, that is not fair within the slightest, because if they're allowed to do it at home, why are they now not allowed to do it on a walk? So it's just going to confuse that dog. Yeah. Or for example, maybe that dog wheezes and poos in the house, or they attack the mailman, for example, or they don't have means of structure within the home, and then you're trying to correct their reactivity to either be people, dogs, anything. You're just setting yourself up for failure, because you're not giving that dog clarity, should we say. We're not giving that dog clarity, and we're not holding them accountable for that. So I'd start there. Restructure your relationship with your dog, hand feeding, create games, play with your dog in and out of the house, and just build that bond, build that relationship. So then when you do dive into reactivity training with a trainer, you're going to be setting yourself up for so much more success. Breeds for first-time owners. I love this question. I think it's great. The breeds that I would recommend for first-time owners, and there's one breed that comes to mind that just absolutely is the perfect family dog, and that is the Labrador Retriever. Highly recommend for a first-time dog owner. You can absolutely mold that dog into whatever you want. You can create quite a high drive Labrador, but you can also create a very low maintenance, not too pushy Labrador as well, as which is really beneficial, especially if you're in somewhat of a busy family home. Their exercise requirements aren't as intense as some other breeds, and they're just a breed that I would highly recommend for first-time dog owners. Their trainability as well as is really simple. They pick things up very quickly, which is also very important when it comes to picking a dog for the first time. Breeds not for first-time owners. Okay, another very good question. I like it a lot. So breeds that I would not recommend for first-time dog owners are definitely, and again this is very extreme side of the spectrum, is any working breed. If you're looking for a dog that you are only going to have as a pet dog, why are you even thinking about considering a working dog? The key is in the name right there, working. If you're not going to work that dog, what are you doing? Like, there's just absolutely no point in getting it, because you're just going to be setting yourself up for so much more stress when you can't properly fulfill it and you're just stressing yourself out. So I wouldn't go for any working breed. So definitely, again, like I said, extreme side of the spectrum, Belgian Malinois, Dutch Herders, anything like that. Avoid those breeds because you're not capable of being able to fulfill them. Again, I'd even go as far as to say like a Dachshund, for example, for first-time dog owners. I wouldn't recommend them because they are quite a driver little dog, to be fair. I've worked fair few amounts of them now, and again, it's a lot of the time it's reactivity that they're coming to me for, and it's through lack of fulfillment and understanding and socialization and a lot of those little key elements. So avoid those dogs. Simple ways to build a better relationship with your dog. Now, I have a bit of Yorkshire coming at me there. I have actually done a video on this, which I shall link right here. Go and check that out. It's a very good video, and it goes into detail about what you can do in order to build a better relationship with your dog. But I shall just touch on a few little bits just right now. So, absolutely hand feed your dog. You are missing out on so much by not hand feeding your dog. I don't think people actually understand how much they're missing out on by doing this. You're going to build drive, you're going to build food drive, you're going to build desire, you're going to build desire to train, you're going to build that dog's relationship and understanding and trust with you, because there's something, that key resource that every dog needs in order to survive is coming from you, which is going to be absolutely monumental for your relationship with your dog. So hand feeding is something that I would highly recommend. Playing with your dog as well as, now structured playing. I don't mean just getting a ball and a lobber, going to your local field and just tossing it for your dog, because all you're going to do there is build an athlete, let's be honest. But absolutely just structure that. So do get a ball and a lobber, but get your dog to sit, get your dog to wait, get your dog to engage with you, get them to then chuck the ball as they're still sitting and waiting, and then go and retrieve it. They're going to have so much more desire to want to play because you're giving them something to do. Tugger games, for example, upping your tug game with your dog is so important when it comes to building a better relationship with your dog. So get down on the floor with them, get your tuggers out, start tugging with them and stuff, teaching them a drop. As by teaching them a drop, you're going to be able to then structure the play and then understanding that they are actually going to be able to win the game. So you teach them to drop it, they then tug about with it, you say drop, they drop it, you give them access to the toy again. Hey presto, that dog's learned that this game is ongoing, it never stops. What breed or breeds would you never own and why? When I think of this question, my mind instantly goes towards more of like your livestock guardian breeds. So, for example, what would be a really good example to use there? Possibly my mind's going more towards like the Pyrenees, for example. That is a dog breed right there that just does not realistically need human contact. Like, you get a Pyrenees for one reason and one reason only, and that is to bugger off up into the mountains and protect your goats and your sheep and all that from all whatever is up there trying to kill them or whatever. So that is a breed to me that I just don't feel like it shouldn't be a pet. It doesn't seem right for me for it to be a pet either, and even for a working dog, I don't even feel like realistically it needs to have that level of intensity as a working dog does. So just letting them go and do what they're genetically bred to do, and that is go and guard, perfect. That is a breed that I probably would not realistically own. Never will I ever feel. I've worked with some, and they are some of the most aggressive dogs I've worked with, so I just avoid that dog breed, to be fair. Long-term business goals. Ooh, really good question. So long-term business goals for Bear Basics Canine Academy is, it's always been a desire of mine to expand this business and expand it in every way, shape or form that I possibly can. So a lot of you that follow me on my socials will know that I also run structured dog walks. So I eventually would like to branch out and hire my own structured dog walkers that I can obviously employ, and then they can branch out. So it doesn't even need to necessarily be local to where I am. We could branch out to someone in, I don't know, maybe like Scotland, for example, and just working over there. So it definitely would be something that I'm interested in, is just branching out and just having more structured dog walkers cover more areas in the UK. Another thing is, again, a facility. I would absolutely love a facility so that we can then take on more staff, and we can also work with like board and trains and things like that, and expand the business that way. And again, of course, YouTube. I would really love to pursue YouTube as a little side career, should we say, as it's something that I'm very, very passionate about. I love making videos. I love working dogs. Put two and two together, we have content. How can I help build my dog's confidence? This is a very interesting question, as there is a number of ways that you can help build your dog's confidence. One of the ways that I tend to like to go towards is utilizing different surfaces and utilizing different areas for your dogs to build their confidence in standing on them. You can do this very, very easily by literally just utilizing elements of lead pressure, and just guiding that dog into that space that you want them. You start off very, very small. Literally, you can go as small as maybe even just like a small rock on the floor, not too far off the ground. It's a different surface. Get the dog on it, yes, good boy, reward that behavior, and then just branch your way up further and further and further. If we can, I'll link a picture of Sid on a little stool. We've worked up to that point. We've got him to that point with his confidence building that he can stand on a little surface through trust and understanding with me, and through confidence building. Oh, Teddy, for example, she was an absolute nervous wreck before I started working with her, and now she's one of the most confident dogs that I know. And it's through building confidence this way and getting that dog to just step out of their comfort zone and seek that discomfort in order to thrive off it. How to stop my dog barking at the window? So the short answer for this is just don't give them access to barking at the window. Just take them away from the window. A lot of dogs are all dogs are self-rewarding animals. Therefore, if they learn that they can stand in a window and bark, and someone walks past as they're barking at that person and that person walks away, that dog instantly thinks, oh yeah, sweet, I did that, I got that person to walk away. So it builds on that serotonin, you know, it gets that dog, those happy hormones start releasing, because they're realizing that I bark at someone, it gets them to go away. Perfect, I'll do this all day, this is so fun. Yeah, so denying that dog access to the window and taking them away from it is going to be really beneficial for you. But again, we're better as that, we're better than that as humans. We don't need to just solely just do that. I'd implement a place stay or a crate stay, or crate train your dog, should we say. So put your dog in a crate and utilize that crate, you know, let them switch off, teach them to switch off. If they have time to sit and bark out of a window, they have time to decompress in a crate. It's as simple as that. They don't have to be doing that behavior, therefore offer them a better behavior by letting them sit and chill out in a crate. Best moments as a dog trainer. Best moments for me, I would probably say is one that sticks out to me a lot, and that is meeting the people that I've shadowed under and the people that I highly look up to, and now to the point that I see these people as like my closest friends. And that's something that I will always hold very, very close to my heart. Is I've looked up to these people, I've spoke to these people on a daily basis, I've followed them, I've shadowed them, I've worked under them, and to now be able to consider these people as my friends is amazing to me. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without becoming a dog trainer first. So that's probably one of the key moments that staples in my head into one of the best moments of becoming a dog trainer so far. How do you get such good photos? Ooh, awesome question. And now that leads me into have a lovely little waffle fest. So sit down, get comfortable, and enjoy this absolute cringe fest that I'm about to portray to you now. So I absolutely would not be able to get this video that you're watching right now would not be produced if it wasn't for my incredible, amazing girlfriend, Yasmin. So she covers all the social media, the admin, all that stuff. She edits photos, she takes photos. She's very, very passionate about photography. So if you do not do so already, please, please, please go and check out Bear Basics Photography, as that is her little portfolio and all her pictures and whatnot of all the dogs that I work that she just comes along and takes pictures for. She edits them, she sends them out to clients, and they can purchase them and things like that. It's a lovely little business venture that she's got going for herself. But yeah, go and check that out, because she's an absolute outstanding photographer. I'm not just saying that just because I'm a partner, but and not, and again, it's not a cheesy plug or anything like that. She is very, very good at what she does, and she takes a lot of time and effort into doing so. So go and check that out. And yeah, there's your answer. It's Yasmin. So she, like, all the YouTube videos, all the content that you see on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff, that is all her. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's me that's talking and doing my thing, but it's her that's recording it and editing it and whatnot. So that is how. How did you train to become a dog trainer? Awesome. So I became a dog trainer through Will Atherton. That's where it all started for me, pretty much, in terms of really pursuing my career in dog training anyway. So Will Atherton Academy, I remember this day very, very well. I was sat at the reception desk at my daycare, just, well, to be honest with you, just buying time. I was just sat there. I didn't want to go back into the room because it was so stressful. It's such a stressful environment. I just wasn't happy. I was messaging Yasmin at the time. I was just like, look, I really can't do this. I hate my job. And that's such a strong word, I know, but I hate my job, and I hate how these people have made me feel as well as within the job. And I was just sat there and I was just scrolling through my phone, and then it popped up, Will Atherton, Canine Academy, and I saw his little beautiful face there in the corner, and I actually screenshot it and I sent it to Yaz. And from that day on, because again, I didn't have like my bank details or anything on me at that moment in time, so I was just like, yes, quick, pay for this. So I was there like getting her to pay for it and everything, get it all sorted and finalised, because obviously I was at work at the time. I wasn't even meant to be on my phone, cheeky. But yeah, it was, and that was from that day on, and I saw the email come through and I was like, oh, awesome, let's go. And that's from that point on, literally, I've never looked back. I remember starting the first module and I was just like, yes, this is like awesome. This is exactly what I want to be doing. I find this so interesting. Everything on like different breeds and why they're bred to do what they do, diving in on that, and I just fell so deep into this dog training world, and I just fell in love with it from that day on, and I've never looked back since. Biggest mistake people make with their dogs. So with this question, I always say it goes two ways. It's either over-socializing your dog at a very young age or under-socializing your dog at a very young age. Now, that word in itself, socialization, is so misunderstood, it's unreal. A lot of people, when they think of dogs, or a lot of owners, when they think of dog socialization, it means socializing with other dogs and socializing with other people. That, I was literally just about to flip off the camera there, that is probably, I'd say it's probably less than maybe even 5% of what actual socialization actually means. Socialization, in a nutshell, is exposing your dog to social situations and social stimulus. So that could be something as simple as walking on grass for the first time, walking on sand for the first time, walking on pavement for the first time, seeing a bus, seeing a bike, seeing a horse, livestock, seeing a thunderstorm, being in a thunderstorm, hearing fireworks. All of that is all socialization that a dog is going to need to be exposed to in order to not freak out when they see these things. So when I say, is your dog socialized, that is what I mean, is like, have you exposed your dog to all of these key elements that they're going to be experiencing throughout their life? If they haven't, that tends to be where we then start to have problems with either fear-based reactivity or just dogs that are just so anxious that they don't even want to leave the house. Yeah, and it's due to the fact of, and again, it's not the owner's fault because they just probably wasn't as educated as they needed to be, but it's like they just haven't exposed their dog to all these things, probably because they have that outlook of socialization just is deemed as other people and other dogs, when there's just so much more to that picture. So if I could say anything to anyone when it comes to that question, it would be to properly socialize your dog. Hardest thing to train. That's a very interesting question. The hardest thing to train, I'm going to have to go with probably separation anxiety. And the reason being, it's not so much that it's difficult to train. You don't really train separation anxiety, but you work with separation anxiety. You know, it's all to do with like the rehabilitation of that dog. But that's probably the hardest part, is the rehabilitation process for that dog, because it's a behavior that requires so little tedious little exercises to best benefit that dog in the long run. So I mean, we're talking literally, you're not going to be able to leave that dog for longer durations of time. So like if you're doing training exercises, for example, like say we're doing some crate rehabilitation where the dog needs to be able to spend durations of time within the crate whilst the owner's not there. So that's going to, first and foremost, you're going to have to be able to have that dog in the crate and then be comfortable with it being in that crate. You're then going to be able to have to open the door, close the door, step away from the crate, step towards the crate, reward the dog. You know, there's all these little key little bits that are going to amount to the bigger picture of that dog being able to cope in that environment. And that's before we then even start to add in that element of that person leaving the room, coming back into the room, leaving the room for 30 seconds, coming back into the room for another 30 seconds, so on and so forth. Thinking about that dog's actual triggers. So working with that dog in something like, I've worked with a dog where when it comes to like the owners leaving the house, that owner could literally just go to reach to pick up their phone and that dog instantly then starts screaming. Like that is then something where you're going to have to restructure that dog's thinking on that stimulus. So literally having to be able to just walk around with your phone like this around the house, or say for example that your car keys are another big trigger for a dog. So picking up your car keys and going and making a cup of tea. So much of these weird little things that you're going to have to do in order to restructure that dog's understanding of them seeing those triggers and understanding that that does not lead to that person leaving the house, or it does not lead to you then having to get worried and confused and scared. Yeah, so I'd probably say that would have to be the hardest thing, because it does not only require a lot from me to be able to relay that information back onto the client, but it takes, and this is where I absolutely rain so much praise on people that have come from dogs that have got proper real separation anxiety, is it's the commitment from the owner. Like that is something that is so difficult, and that's where you lose a lot of people within this, because it is such a long process. Are breeds the same to train as others? Ooh, I like this one. So the short answer is no. Every breed, I would say, is different. Now, different breeds have different drives. So, for example, if I had a 12-year-old Lhasa it's probably not going to be as difficult to train as a, I don't know, maybe a 2-year-old Belgian Malinois or something. Again, we've got, that's not even opposite ends of the spectrum. That is like way over here. But yeah, like your pet dogs, for example, and your sports dogs, very different in how they train them anyway. You're going to be able to take key points from the two and transfer them back into the opposite points. So again, I include a lot of like sports stuff into pet training. I include a lot of pet training into sports stuff at a early age. But no two dogs are the same. No dog realistically is the same, really. It all comes down to drive, intrinsic desires. So how much does that dog have an intrinsic desire to train? So maybe you've got like a border collie that is so driven to want to train and like do like competitive obedience and things like that. But maybe like your little Jack Russell, for example, maybe that's just like very independent, very driving in different ways, got more of a prey drive than anything else, so it's want to be off down rabbit holes and stuff and seeking out game and things like that. They are two completely different dogs, therefore I'm going to have to incorporate two completely different training plans for those dogs as well as. So for that question, I'd have to say that no, it's a case of every dog's different, you know, no two dogs are the same, should we say.